Hey! How are we doing today? Hope we're doing good. Hope we had a good week. Okay, so we're going to go into our next move. Remember, we finished off with our push. Here's the next move. What the heck was that? Don't worry, we'll work on it, we'll get it. I had like, my brain just like went boop. Anyway, so here we go, press. Or push, push, push. That's called single whip. Beautiful move, right? It looks very tricky. It's a fair bit tricky, but nothing you guys can't handle. And again, I'm going to break it down as I have been up to this series, so don't worry about it. We're going to start with the hands or moving the feet. First thing to talk about is the term single whip. What in the heck is single whip? When we think of single whip, we think about the bull whip, you know. This is not talking about a bull whip or any other kind of whip in that context. What we're talking about here is in a lot of Southeast Asia, in China and Cambodia, Vietnam, you have these. It looks like a yoke almost. People use, and they hang water. They hang 2 baskets off of there, and they carry stuff with this apparatus that's there. That's what we call, that's the whip that we're talking about. And so as this is the whip, it's a single, right? So it's only one. That's what we're talking about when we say single whip. It's not talking about that I'm using a single whip, like a vine whip or anything like that. That's number one. This posture, we'll show you this posture. What kind of posture? If you could name this, what is that? That's right, front stance. So it's front stance again. So we're already 60% there. You just have to figure out where the hands go. Isn't that cool that so much of this stuff is built in? If you've been practicing and practicing and practicing doing your front stance both sides, by now you're like, okay, I'm like, going into front stance is like putting your hand in an old glove, right? That you've just been, you've been using for ages, like a nice leather glove, and your hand just slips in there just perfectly. So this is, your front stance should start feeling like that. When you move into your front stance, it's like, I'm coming home. But let's go into the hands first, and then we'll go into the feet. So we just pushed here. So what we're going to do is we're going to flow this way to the left. Again, this is all flipped around. This is backwards. So when I'm saying to the left, you are just, the purpose of that is so you can mirror me on the video, and you don't have to worry about like trying to flip things around. Just mirror exactly what I'm doing. So here I'm floating to the left. That's pretty easy, right? So we've just pushed, and then I'm floating to the left. Okay? Now here's the next part. The left hand, as it comes around, it dips down and cups the dantian. Remember we talked about the lower dantian is below the belly button, so it's right around here. So I'm kind of cupping the dantian down here. So from here, so that's what the left hand is doing, it's going down. Okay, one more. And down. What about the right hand? The right hand is doing something quite different. The right hand is going into this shape. What in the world is that? Well, that's our whip, remember? So what we're doing is we're taking the thumb, we're gathering our little chicks together, our little finger chicks, with that thumb together like that. Pulling them together. Now there's all kinds of esoteric teachings about this, which I will not get into. But one way to think about this is when we have the 5 elements in the Chinese systems and also in Tai Chi, Qigong, and these other things, we have water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. Earth is believed to be the grounding, the stabilizer. Here's our earth. So the earth is pulling all the other elements together. So we're making like a little beak, kind of, or like a little hook. So from here, so the left tucks under, the right is making the little hook here. Now what we're going to do is the right hand is going to press out this way. So from here, that's the push. They float over, under the dantian, grab the hook, and then I press it out. Now I want you to think of this. We're not going this way. Think about like it being like a little rabbit jumping over the hedge. Boop. So it's going over the hedge. Maybe over like a ball. Whoop. Okay? So rather than just going straight out, from here, I'm going out this way. Okay? Whereabouts does it go? So what I would say is that we want to, from the side, have it, here's 90 degrees, right? I'm 90 degrees this way, boom, boom. So I have it from this point to the back, from here to the back. So it comes out, out, or, you know, don't have it too far back because you're going to do yourself a mischief with your shoulder. But allow what you can tolerate with your shoulders and everything. Let that be the guide of what feels right. What I don't want you to do is this, because then it's just, we're getting totally kooky. So we want to be at least here or back. Okay, that's what we're looking for. There's no, no like, this is, dogma here. Okay, so that goes out. All right, so let's look at this again. So here we are. We pushed, flowed over, here, and then we press that out. Okay. Now there's all kinds of weirdness out there on the interwebs where if you Google finding application of single whip, you'll see this thing being used for all kinds of things. I don't know, it looks like an emu that's picking someone, or somebody's getting their eye poked out or struck in the throat or something with this. But I don't think this is what it was intended to be. You would just punch somebody, right? You wouldn't be using some crazy thing like that. You could maybe be hooking someone, like you're hooking this way, or misdirecting or something, possibly. But in my thinking, it has a lot more to do with, it's more energetic, as this is an internal martial art system, and it has to do with the power that's being exerted through this hand rather than this hand doing some crazy maneuver. I don't want to get into the martial art aspect of it again, because we're not talking about how to do this energetic stuff. We're just learning the dance here, okay? So with that in mind, if you talk about a rabbit hole, go down the rabbit hole and see for yourself and have fun with it. But here we go. So here and out. Okay, now we're almost finished with the hands. I know this is a long one. These have been, the last couple have been long videos, but there's a lot to cover here. So once we've done this, I want you to imagine that you just lock in. So you come here. Once it goes out, it just locks in. One way to think about this too is you lock out your arm and then drop the elbow. So feel the tension that's going through here, through here. This is a good way that your shoulder should be held when we're doing our single whip. You should feel tension. You should feel tension across the shoulder here, moving up here. So one way to get that is to lock it out, relax the shoulder, but then drop the elbow. See how that engages everything across? So that's mine. But I want, once we do that, imagine that it just becomes one with the whole torso. So when I move, let me show you what I'm going to do. So I'm here. Watch what happens. Doesn't it kind of look like I'm moving this arm around? I am not moving that arm around. All I'm doing, once it's set in place, it just follows my torso as I move, okay? So once you throw that sucker out, you're good to go. Then we can start talking about this hand again. And let's finish off this hand. Because this hand's been just kind of sitting there at the dantian saying, hey, where's my turn? Well, here's the turn. So, from here, this hand comes up and presses forward. From here, it's going to come up and press forward. From here, it's going to come up. I'm not worried about my feet yet. Get off your feet. There's enough going. It's hard enough with the hands. All right. So here we are. Remember, this is just stuck. And it comes forward. One way I like to think about it is if, let's say I had a good book here. I'm reading my book. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Have you ever seen this? And then you press the book forward. Or let's just say maybe you got your cell phone here and you get this hilarious text that comes in like, oh my God, can you believe it? Take a look at that. Okay, so it comes up and then forward. The next thing I want you to think about is, see how this is a straight line here? No pointing at the camera. So as I come up, I'm going offline and then I'm coming back online. See how that works? I didn't just come straight up and then go straight forward. I'm coming up, I go off that line, and then I come back onto the line. Okay? So from here, up. Look at this juicy text I just got. Okay, so offline, back online. All right? So that's the hands. Let's do that a couple more times. Let me do it from here. Push. Out. Okay, that's it. Once we do the legs, you're going to see how everything is going to just fall into place. So with our legs, remember we just pushed here. So here's what we want to do. Do you see how I'm in a front stance here with my right leg is forward? I want to end up, and like here's my baseline. Here's my 90-degree angle. So I'm facing 90 degrees off the baseline. What I'm going to end up doing, there's my push. My single whip is going to end up that I'm facing west. I'm on a front stance, but I just turned 90 degrees. My left leg is forward, and here my right leg is forward. So I'm going to be from a front stance facing north to a front stance facing west. So how in the world do we do that and make it look nice and clean? So from here, we have to break it into a few parts. Let me show you what it looks like. Here's our front stance, so no hands here. Okay, one more time. Okay, so from my front stance, remember that when we're in a front stance, the back leg is always at a 45-degree angle, correct? So for me to be here, this leg is always, the front leg is always forward. This wants to be in a 45-degree angle. So this is going to become my back leg. This is going to become my front leg. So what I do is as I shift the weight back into my right leg, into my left leg, I turn my right to where, if I was to step that way, see it's already created the 45-degree angle. So when I shift it in and step out, I have to make a minor adjustment, but see how it's already kind of locked in place. This is the economy of motion that we need to strive for in our practice. We don't want to be doing this 20 times, to get ourselves over to here, like a doddery robot or something. So from here, we use the weight being pulled into the left leg to turn that right foot. We pivot on the heel to where now it's almost a 45-degree angle going that way. Then we shift the weight back, but now here's what happens, is I shift it back and I go into a cat stance. Okay? Front stance, shift the weight into the left, turn the right foot, sink the weight into the right, and go into a cat stance. Remember the cat stance? Very heavy in the right, very loose and light in the left. Then we step out. All of my weight is in my right foot. Now I release and I go into a front stance. This really is one of the harder moves in Tai Chi Chuan. There's no two ways about it. So just don't get hard on yourself. It's frustrating and it's difficult at first. Just keep practicing and practicing it. You're going to get it. Here we go. Shift the weight back. We turn, 45. We shift the weight in, and we go into the cat stance. See, right now, my hands are not even involved. We step out. My weight is still here. Now I release the weight. That way, okay? Let me do it from here. So it's going to be facing forward. So here I am. Pour the weight into the left. Turn the right foot. I step all my weight into the right. I go into a cat stance. I step forward, plant the heel, and now I release. Yes. Okay. Let me show you what happens. Do you notice how I stepped kind of wide when I did that? From that cat stance? Let me show you what happens if I don't do that. Here's the cat stance. Let's just say I wanted to just step straight out 90 degrees. See what's happened? Is I'm back onto the tightrope. I don't want to be on the tightrope. I want to be on the railroad track. So this is why you have to step out probably wider than you might feel comfortable with for right now. But when you Come out. Now you're back into that leather glove again. Ah, yes. You're home. Okay? Let's put it all together now. Push. So as I bring my hands this way, I'm putting all my weight into my left foot. And that's when I turn that right. And then I grab here. So right now all my weight is in my left, and I've turned my foot here. Now, as I bring it back, I go into my cat stance, I shoot out my hook. Okay? I step forward. Now I release that back foot. Here I come. Offline. Back online. See how that works? So let's one more time. Push from this angle anyway. Flow. So right here, you should feel all of your weight in your left foot, and you should feel twisted up and really bizarre. Hopefully it feels like you're like, what in the world? I feel like I'm like a corkscrew. Now we're going to send the weight from the left foot into the right. As we send it into the right, we throw out our little hook, and we go into our cat stance. We step out. Remember, this is just controlled by the everything else. And here we go. We release the weight from the right, send it into the front stance. Let's try it a few times this way. Come forward, turn, send it out. Cat stance, all my weight, see cat, so very light. Step forward, plant. Now I release that right foot. Here's my fabulous text, and press forward. One more time. I know this is super, super fiddly. There it is, single whip. Good job. Just keep practicing with it. It'll come. Just work hands, work feet, put them together, just play with it. Okay, good job. Now let's go ahead. We're going to do the whole thing up to that point. Here we go. Very good, guys. You did amazing. Okay, we'll catch up next week. I know your brains might be kind of exploded going, but don't worry. We'll kind of review a little bit next week. I might bring in the breath a little bit for next week. A little bit of the qua, just to kind of hone it. But anyway, that's the meat that you have to work with. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye.